Yeah, talk about great Catholic radio. It's time for a chat with Pat.
Yes, and today we have with us, and I got the name, it is Lichens, so I was wrong. It is Michael Lichens. Michael is an author, an editor, a researcher, has a very great background in Catholic writing and education and all the things that he's done. But today he's the spokesperson for a book called I Killed Maria Goretti, and it is published by Sophia Institute Press. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Pat. It's great to join you all.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear your voice again. So, Michael, this is interesting because you didn't author this book, but because the author is deceased, but you're the spokesperson. So kind of tell me, why did you choose to be the spokesperson for this book?
Well, honestly, I had not heard a lot about Maria Goretti before this. I knew the very basic story. And when I opened the book, this book was written by Pietro Di Donato, who's largely forgotten today, but he was a literary lion in his own time. He was lauded for many of his books. And this one, you see why, because it's such beautiful writing. He gets into the head of Alessandro Serenelli, who killed Maria Goretti. And it was, as a man who holds petty grudges a lot, it was like a spiritual bag of bricks hitting me over the head, because I was just so moved by the story that I wanted to try to get it out to more hands.
So, Michael, what it was an amazing book. I couldn't put it down. It was excellent. And one of the things is the author, Donato, actually interviews all these people. So he talked to Serenelli. He talked to all of these people. But what for you was some of the greatest takeaways in this book?
Probably first and foremost, Pietro Di Donato focused on the effects of reading on Alessandro's life, both in his young life when he was reading really, salacious stuff, a lot of erotic literature, philosophy, kind of a pseudo-Nietzschean philosophy, and things like that, and how it hardened his heart, made him feel he was above everyone else, and that he could do such a horrific crime. And then you also see the effect of reading after his conversion. Suddenly, good works are filling his head. The Lives of the Saints, Scripture, wonderful books by the saints, such as Augustine. And you see the effects of as someone who works with the written word, I often talk about the power of reading, but in Alessandro Serenelli, you really see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that caught my attention, too, was Maria Goretti and Alessandro both had rough lives. I mean, Maria's dad dies, her mom has to go out in the fields, she's got to stay with the little one. They don't have much money. There are 5 kids in this family. Alessandro, his mother dies when he's little. And so they kind of have they both have a really kind of tough upbringing and childhood, but they handle it so differently. Did you look at that and go, wow, there is such a difference here?
It was a very big point, I think, of the book, because the author himself, Pietro Di Donato, had a similar life. His father died when he was really young, and he had to take up bricklaying at 15 years old to support his family during the Great Depression. So I think he was looking at all their lives and going, well, how did we all end up so differently from each other with such similar backgrounds? Maria chose the path of grace. Alessandro, of course, chose crime, and Pietro chose the way of writing. And it's such a fascinating thing to look at, nurture versus nature debate that we always have, because the grace of God comes through, but in such different ways in all of them.
And the book really, in my mind, focuses on obviously 3 main people, Maria, obviously, and Alessandro, but Maria's mother plays a real role in this book too, doesn't she? Yeah.
She does.
Go ahead. I want to get your insights into her.
Oh, I was saying I knew nothing about Assunta, Maria's mother, before this book, but you automatically see where Maria got her strength and her grace from, because Assunta shows so much of that in this book. She not only forgave Alessandro for the murder, she embraced him as a son. The two of them would receive communion together. Alessandro was invited to the house many times and attended the beatification. It's that type of grace that, if it hadn't happened so close to our age with so much documentation, it would be hard to believe.
Yeah, very true. And one of the things that I find with Alessandro, his conversion, it comes after what is believed to be a vision or a dream of Maria, but it is an amazing conversion, isn't it?
It's as close to a road to Damascus moment as someone could probably get, where he's just instantaneously became a model prisoner and turned his entire life around. Somehow, when he had that vision of Maria while he was serving his sentence, his hardened heart crumbled down and became softer. He became a much better man. He actually died as a lay brother with the Capuchin monks. And it's an incredible story of what God's grace can do. Sometimes God takes a while for us. He wants to work in time. But every once in a while, he really does convert people right on the spot.
And I think for watching his story, and obviously this is his story, but he really does kind of go from being a victim, like he blames Maria for her own death. If she'd have just given in to me, she'd be alive. It was her fault. And at this moment, when he has this encounter with her after her death, in prison, it changes everything, so much so that the thing I think that hit me was that self-sacrifice even after he's released from prison. People are telling him to get married, raise a family, and he's like, he does not want to put that on anybody else. He saw that as a burden that only he should carry, that he was the one who killed Maria Goretti. He didn't want a wife or kids to have to deal with that. I thought that was very self-sacrificial. How did you see that?
Oh, I saw it as very self-sacrificial and also keenly aware. Like, we know from even modern prisoners, like, Charles Manson got married in prison. There's always someone out there for these guys. And he did not take that path. He chose the path a little harder of working manual jobs and then finding work with the brothers. But he bore that burden his entire life willingly. Even his last will and testament before he died, he wrote very first line, "I, Alessandro, killed Maria Goretti." And he acknowledged that and always bore that burden. But he also knew that Maria, he often called her his little angel, and knew that she was praying for him. And I think that kind of forgiveness not only changed his life, it changed the world for the better.
Oh, yeah. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Of course, Pat. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Oh, no problem, and have a good week ahead. And if you enjoyed this little taste, I would really encourage you to next week. Her feast is July 6th. The week of July 7th, Michael does a whole hour with me on this book at the Virtuous Life. So check your local stations and see when that's going to be on. I also want to do just a little bit. In the name of the book, I Killed Maria Goretti. I also want to remind people that if you listened to Friday's show and heard the little tidbit on Padre Pio Institute for the Relief of Suffering, which will be in Michigan. That is going to be on the Virtuous Life this week for a whole hour. Jerry Palazzolo and Dr. George. So you might want to tune into that to hear more about that.
Yeah, you can find out all of the details of that at AveMariaRadio.net.